Hey, fourth graders. Today I am going to show you something that we are going to be working on in class, and you are actually going to take a quiz on later this week. But I want you to be able to see me go through the process so you know exactly what you need to do. Because one of the quizzes that you're going to be taking, it is a Galileo quiz, and it is labeled RI.2. This is a quiz that we have taken before, but I really see that we need a lot of work on this, and that's totally okay. That's what we do. We look and see maybe what we need to work on, and this is one of those things. So you are going to be asked to read an informational text. Now, hopefully you remember that an informational text is a reading passage, words on the screen, that is going to give you information about something. We are going to be looking at key ideas and details. So when I ask for what are the details in a story or what are the details in a text, that is what do you think is important and the small pieces of the text that we should know. So in an informational text, it's what is the author trying to tell you about that subject? We want to determine the main idea. We've heard about that before. That is that central idea, that main idea, that most important idea about what the text, the words you're reading, is about. Text, you're going to see this a lot. It's not text on the phone, it is the actual words on the screen or in a book that you are reading. And you want to explain how it is supported by key details. So remember, the main idea is what is the most important thing, that most important concept of what you are reading? What is it in an informational text that the author is wanting you to know about? And then how is it supported by key details? So what are all the smaller pieces of information that supports that bigger piece of information? And then we want to summarize the text. So how do you take 5 paragraphs worth of words and sum it up in 2 or 3 sentences so that you're not taking as much time telling somebody about what you just read? So again, what you're often going to see in these questions are main idea, the word text, which simply means the words that you are reading on the page or on the screen, the key details, the small pieces of information that then supports or informs you about your big idea, the main idea, and summarize. How do you take 5 paragraphs and shorten it into 3 or 4 sentences without losing out on what the author is trying to tell you? So, really, what is most important about what you are reading? So when you have taken Galileo, we have seen this passage, and I know is really small on the screen. You don't have to worry about reading it right now, but it is the one about the ancient sea turtle. And now I know with a lot of our Galileo quizzes, you are reading the same passages over and over, but then when you go and you take the actual Galileo or the state test or another test, a quiz that I might give you, you may have never seen that passage before. So you do need to make note about this passage. Now, it's an informational text. So just by looking at the title, what do you think this is about? Well, the title is The Ancient Sea Turtle. So what do you think that information is going to be about in this text? Right, it's going to be about an ancient sea turtle. It's going to inform you, it's going to give you information so then you can build your knowledge about ancient sea turtles. Now, you don't have to read this passage first, because the first thing I want you to always do in every single one of our Galileo quizzes or passages, texts that I give you where you have to answer questions is read the question and answers first. This is going to tell you, hey, you might not need to read the whole passage if you understand what the question is asking you. So if we look at this, the question says from the ancient sea turtle. So that means that passage, that text about the ancient sea turtle, what is the main idea? So what is the most important part of the last paragraph? So do you have to read the whole passage to be able to answer this? No, you don't. What do you need to read? What do you need to make sure that you look at? The last paragraph. And so that is why it is so important to read the question first, because this passage, which seems so long and can maybe be a little intimidating to think that you need to read all those words, you don't even have to go and read all those words. You can just go to this last paragraph. I'm trying to highlight it here. There we go. Yep. That last paragraph. How many paragraphs are in this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But do you have to read all 6 paragraphs to answer this question? No, you really don't. It wants you to read or look at the last paragraph and see what is the main idea. What is the most important thing? And you can go ahead and look at what the answer choices are. Is it going to be that fishermen need to use special nets? The beaches where sea turtles hatch need to be protected. There are organizations trying to protect sea turtles, or sea turtles will continue to swim in the oceans. Now, the last paragraph may have all this information in it, but remember, we just want to know the main idea. So next, we are actually going to go and look at the passage, but are we going to look at all the paragraphs? No. We are just going to go to the last paragraph and look at the main idea. And one of the things that we are noticing is that often the main idea is in the first 2 sentences of the paragraph. So we may not even need to read the entire paragraph. What we may need to just do is what I did here, highlight the first 2 sentences. So here we go. Organizations around the world focus on protecting sea turtles. You know what? That kind of sounds familiar as to maybe one of the answers we looked at, but I'm going to go ahead and look at the second sentence. Some teach fishermen to use special nets that allow sea turtles to escape. And then if I do go on, others have made special beaches for sea turtles to use for nesting. Okay. But I'm looking mainly at this first sentence again. Organizations around the world focus on protecting sea turtles. So now my last step to then be able to answer this question is to select the answer that matches. And you can actually see what I did. I have what I highlighted, and then I've looked at the passage. Fishermen need to use special nets to protect sea turtles. Well, that was in the second sentence, but there are organizations trying to protect sea turtles. Organizations around the world focus on protecting sea turtles. So the first sentence actually matches one of the answers, which is the answer C. They're organizations trying to protect sea turtles. And that's my answer. And that is actually the correct answer. So simply, that is what you need to do when you have a question that deals with main idea and summarizing the text. Look at that first sentence of the paragraph that the question is asking you to look at. Okay, so now it is your turn.